What's good, family? Hope everyone's having a blessed Sunday afternoon, that is. Of course, I am Jared Old Evan Green. This is another episode of the Southern Ballers Show. Of course, I have my brothers, the Southern Ballers Collective, with me. Coach 67 Sports TV, what's going on, man?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How y'all gentlemen doing this afternoon?
I'm blessed. I cannot complain. JB was good.
Hey, I'm here to knock out another Sunday of the Southern Baller Show, man. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. And we got people already in the chat. Big Reg, what's going on? He said, what's good, everybody? Speaking of content creators, man, y'all make sure you support this brother. Check out his content, great stuff. Him and J6, 86 Goats. All of them are a three-headed monster over there. Good content. Make sure you support those brothers. But man, we got some stuff to talk about, man. The UFL was kicked off. We're gonna talk about them later, but we're gonna go into talking about the topic actually. You know how we feel about black coaches not getting their due, and especially in the NFL. Um, Black coaches being used as a holding place until they, b- build up the team good enough where they get until they get fired and their white counterpart gets hired, a la Jared Mayo or Gerard Mayo. Um, I got a feeling Aaron Glenn gonna be in that same position. He's gonna get to the Jets to be decent enough um, to where they no longer need him, and then a white coach is hired, and
Or not
he
even
gets all going.
decent. Just you just get draft equity. You know what I'm saying?
All
Just
right,
make the team bad enough where they get the first round or top five every year, where they can get the players they want, and then they'll bring in the coach they want. But you on the right track though. Go ahead.
facts, man. I see y'all in here, man. I appreciate y'all. Your boy Jay, he said salute, fellas. Um, Adrian Crook in here. What's good, man? I appreciate you, man, coming by. Uh, my sister Yolanda B, my Baltimore Ravens sister. She said, "Good afternoon, everyone. Y'all make sure y'all support this sister. She has great content. She knows more football than some of you dudes, man. Make sure, especially if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, make sure you support her and Hendo over there doing their thing. The Road Podcast over there. Um, my sister Ashley Royalty. She said, "Hey everyone, what's up, Ashley? Appreciate you coming by. Appreciate the support, really do." My brother, Motivation to Be a Millionaire, says salute Jared, Coach JB, panel, chat, and family. Appreciate you always supporting, brother. Thank you. Relax and calm rain. Knew you wasn't too far behind. Appreciate you, brother, coming by. Salute Jared, coaching panel and chat. Appreciate your support. But fellas, what you think about that? About the just the black coaches are treated in general. Um, I thought, don't get me wrong, Jesse Mentor may be a good coach. Who knows? I hope especially about the Flock Nation, and is hoping he will be a decent coach. But we wanted Anthony. I don't. Me personally, I want Anthony Weaver to be the head coach. I thought he would have been a good fit. Um, but he's a defensive coordinator. Uh, Coach, what are your thoughts?
I think the NFL is a microcosm of the larger society that we live in. I mean, we talk about this on a consistent basis. You have had coaches like Leslie Frazier, who at one point was as hot as fish grease, and he never got an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. You got somebody like Eric Bieniemy,
Mm-hmm.
who, to me, in my personal opinion, Had he been white, really, the two of them, Leslie Frazier and Eric Bieniemy, if if both of them were white, they would have been head coaches in the NFL by now. I mean, and there's no two ways about it. And we could kind of go on and on and on and on. I think at this point, I think it's redundant. I think we've beaten the dead horse.
Yeah.
We've clearly established that there's a double standard, and for people that really don't see it, they're
Or
blind.
don't want to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they really don't. I mean, the thing about it is, if Eric Bieniemy was white and he, would have been an offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl, he'd have got credit for, the success that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes had. But since he black, the excuses that he benefited from coaching, you know, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, is a gross double standard. We see it in the NFL. We see it in boxing. We see it all across sports, and we just see it in the life that we live in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you and I at JP, we had this show where we was talking about professional wrestling and the double standard with that, and we're gonna do that type of show coming up the next couple of weeks when the three of us are available. But truthfully speaking, we see it all over the place, whether it's boxing, whether it's just sports and just life in general. And I mean, even one of the content creators who we really was looking at leading up to that particular show, he was talking about, workplace politics and so on and so forth, and how, if you are a black person, like in a workspace where it's predominantly and the vast majority of the workers are white, and if you just happen to be black, it's a double standard and this, that, and the third. And he was going over some of the things that, black people go through when they only like one of a few blacks. And I'm not gonna lie, everything he described, I went through personally. But if I was to say this to a white person, I'm like, hey, this is what I experienced. Oh, no, you're just joking. You're just like over exaggerating and shit.
Suck it up.
No, that's all in your mind. Whatever.
Everybody go through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, we see the double standards, like live in their living color. You know, even when 7-8 talk about like Deontay Wilder and Devin Haney, if they were non-black, I guarantee you, the way Fury cheated Wilder in all three of those fights, it'd have been highlighted and emphasized in the same thing. Whereas, the fact that Ryan Garcia cheated Devin Haney, I mean, instead of saying, well, hey, man, they cheated this brother, we support him, you got other black people like dogpiling on him and taking up for this racist scumbag piece of trash. So at the end of the day, the fact that, black coaches that should be head coaches aren't head coaches in the NFL is just a microcosm of the society we live in.
Yeah. Unfortunate it is, and seems like we got another Saints fan in here, Adrian Crook. Okay, and your boy
Who
Jay
that?
said,
Who that?
Adrian
Jay?
Crook. Yeah, right. And your boy says they were running a smear campaign on Eric Bieniemy the second he was being looked at as a head coach. Yeah, they sure was. We remember. That's why we talking about it, your boy Jay. We remember all that. And y'all in the chat, y'all I want to hear y'all opinion about this topic. Don't be shy. Um, Anthony Bolton, aka Memphis Man, what's going on? He said salute. What's going on, Anthony Bolton? Appreciate you always supporting, brother. And one of my LDBC brothers. Shout out to the LDBC. But JB, what's your thoughts on this topic, man?
I mean, coach just, put it in the pot, let it cook, and then it's smelling good. You know what I'm saying? So, um, not gonna be too long with it. When it, like he said, like beating a dead horse. And as I stated when you were bringing up the subject, man, a lot of these black coaches are brought in just to bring draft equity to the team. You know, have the team, give the black coach limited resources, limited players, backup players, um, and have them pick top, top 15 in the draft for at least 2 years, so they can get the, you know, couple of players they need in the draft that they're looking for, and then that even sometimes it don't go to the second year. That first year, you saw what they did to the brother in Atlanta, Raheem Morris. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, and they brought in Kevin Stefanski. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who he won Coach of the Year
Cleveland.
for Cleveland, but that was like around COVID time. You know what I'm saying? And but since then he ain't really done anything. He traded away or got rid of uh, Baker Mayfield, gave up on Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield
Oh,
had
they're
something to say
balling in
about
Tampa.
him. Yeah, and then a lot of players, what's your boy? Jarvis Landry came out and said something about him. Apparently, um, if he's not doing too good on offense, because he usually call plays, he's he'll give up play calling and give it to the offensive coordinator. So to me, he's a coach that doesn't have accountability, and you bring him in and you don't give uh, brother Raheem Morris at least 2 years, I think it's ridiculous. And then we're not saying that saying that you just hire any black coach. That's not what we're
Because
saying.
there's some bad black coaches out here, but go ahead.
Yes, yeah. So I'm saying that for the best of them, at least give them a shot, a chance, like you give the white counterparts. Um, this just bringing coaches in, and when you hire coaches to be to a bad football team, and then you bring them in just to give draft equity, and I'm just sick of it, man, and you know, and like I said before, man, I'm not the. I wish these brothers, not take that job for to be in that position. But who am I to tell another black person, what I'm saying,
Not to feed
to
their family, not to
not
get
take
employed.
money? Right. So I'm not. So I stopped saying that a couple of years ago because it's not fair. At least Gerard Mayo got a check. You know what I'm saying? So, but still, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, man.
And,
Good
and,
point.
and not only that, for me to kind of piggyback off of what JB was saying, not only do we want the black coaches that become head coaches in the NFL to get a fair chance and a fair opportunity, but in some instances, the white counterparts get a second and third opportunity to be head coaches when they, you know, failed at the first chance they got. Just to kind of give you an example.
John Harbaugh.
Yeah. Oh man, that boy, man. Let's not even talk about him. I mean, I know y'all, big time Ravens fans, but let me give you another example. The people, the coach that many people think is the greatest NFL head coach of all time. The guy that's currently the head coach of y'all North Carolina Tar Heels, Bill Belichick, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize. At first they were saying, "Oh man, he like the greatest defensive coordinator of all time," and whoop the woo. You know, one day Lawrence Taylor was talking to someone, and he was like, "Man, he didn't think highly of him." He was like, "Man, this dude was our assistant special teams coordinator." When I first got to the Giants and whoop the woo. I'm like, dang. And not only that, but just think, people don't even realize, like, he was the head coach of the Browns. First, he was the head coach of the Jets. And before he even coached the game, he ended up like resigning or whatever, and he ended up getting the head coach of the Browns. First of all, he'd have been black if he would have, like balked the opportunity to be a head coach. He would have never got another. He would have never got another shot. I promise you that. That's first of all, and then second of all, speaking of coaches like Gerard Mayo, uh, what the head coach for the Miami Dolphins was the black guy,
Brian Flores.
Brian Flores. You got guys that actually become head coaches like Antonio Pierce, and they're not given a fair chance and a fair opportunity.
Tony Pierce is a good, yeah.
And then lastly, when they do get a head coaching job, I mean, Raheem Morris and maybe Todd Bowles are like the lone examples of black head coaches that didn't win a Super Bowl that actually got another opportunity to become a head coach. And then many instances, somebody like myself or you two brothers that might be on the outside looking in, the first thing y'all be like, man, hey, either they kissing her right behind or they know somebody or whatever. Like on surface level, it's kind of fishy because not only does a good assistant black coach, not only does he not become a head coach, but if he doesn't have success, it's rare that he gets another opportunity. So at the end of the day, it's like these are things like I think the average person does not take into consideration. And even if a black coach does have success, if you don't win the Super Bowl, like a Tony Dungy, even like a Mark Jackson in the NBA, in many instances, they take a white person that's in position to really elevate the team and take them to that next level. And the black coach like Tony Dungy or Mark Jackson really don't get the credit they deserve for putting them in a position that they're in to begin with. So at the end of the day, like it's a slippery slope. And at the end of the day, black coaches really aren't given a fair shake. Not just in the NFL, but just in coaching rounds in general, especially when they come to like, college football, whatever the case may be. So, it's a bad game, in terms of the racial double standard and the hypocrisy when it comes to, coaches, black coaches in particular.
Facts, man. And then what people love, if they don't want to talk about this topic, they'll love to point to the Lovey Smiths. You know what I mean? Oh, he got the opportunity, with the Bears, and then that 1 year, well, 1.5 year with Tampa Bay. And then the Houston Tech, he was like I guess in 2022, if I remember, somebody got fired, and then he was the head coach for the Houston Texans in 2022. But that's about it, though. That's about it. Um, but that's a bad example because Lovie Smith. A lot of people will, if you talk with a lot of Chicago Bears fans,
He's a
Lovie
good
Smith,
coach.
yeah, he's a good coach. And a lot of people say the Chicago Bears didn't give him the resources as well to um bounce back from that Super Bowl run after 2006.
They had the same problem Baltimore has historically. They couldn't. They don't draft good quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb Williams is looking at it to probably they had okay quarterbacks like what's your boy
McMahon.
Jay Cutler. No, not
Jim,
McMahon. Jim McMahon is he's in that same category of Trent Dilfer. He's good, but he's more of
manager.
a
Game manager,
game
yeah.
manager.
I
They
mean,
got that 85 defense,
I'll put to
just
say
like what Trent Dilfer did.
that's probably arguably
Just
one of the greatest defenses of all time.
Yes.
right, just like the 85 Bears and the 2000 Ravens. If you got a quarterback that can at least throw it, you know what I'm saying? He got 2 feet and a decent arm, and he don't f it up. That's all he don't. Just give him the keys to the car and tell him not to crash the car. Basically, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But the Bears historically don't draft great QBs. They just like just like Baltimore a couple of years ago in 2018 looked up on Lamar Jackson the Bears looked up a couple of years ago, just recently on Caleb Williams. You know what I'm saying? But historically, they don't draft good QBs. I think Lovey Smith was, good QB, not QB, but good coach for them. Um, and same thing with him. This is a perfect situation or a discussion for Lovey Smith. Lovey took some bad jobs and some bad situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, but hey, I know black men that like to challenge themselves. You know what I'm saying? Look what Deshaun, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Look what Deshaun Jackson did in Delaware State. It worked.
Yeah.
We got the program winning. But look at what Mike Vick going through in Norfolk. And he
Yeah.
didn't have a good year this year. So sometimes when black coaches they like to challenge themselves. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yep. Terrell Buckley over there in Mississippi Valley. He got the highest mountain to climb out of those three coaches.
Yes.
'Cause Mississippi Valley, their athletic programs, mainly basketball and football, has been bad. But we talking about football, but you get what I mean. Like their athletics is suffering. But let's see what y'all talking about in the chat, man. Um, and both and Bolton said, and Shady McCoy was helping them with the BS narrative against Eric Bieniemy. Man, don't all these content creators or people that have channels or shows on YouTube, and they are attached with the NFL um
Boxing,
or boxing
like Sean Porter
or Sean
or this
Porter.
Bradley, Timothy Bradley.
You're right. They gonna be businessmen. They gonna be, you know what I mean by that?
They're not gonna tell
They
the
gonna
truth.
be company men.
They're gonna push the narrative that the greater institution want them to push. Uh,
Right.
the dominant society want them to push. Like, hey, yeah, Ryan took PEDs, but what competitive advantage did it really give him over Devin Haney? Push them type of bullcrap narratives.
Right. And as quiet as it kept, Shay did the same thing last night when they brought up Deontay Wilder. He did that look over his glasses, like basically saying that Deontay Wilder's not gonna win. So he's still following the narrative of what a lot of people saying Deontay Wilder making excuses, and all that good stuff. But if you do the research, and that's another thing, a lot of us we run with the narrative with the dominant society instead of doing the research, and that what gets on my nerves. But yeah, you're right, Anthony Bolton. Stefanski destroyed a loaded Browns team quickly. Yes, he did. He sure did.
Yes, he did.
Dennis Allen was ruining everything, and the Saints built and the GM wanted to keep him. Imagine if Dennis Allen was a black man and he would have been fired
Man,
after years.
yes, indeed. I mean, just to think about it, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton, they built something good, right? Then Sean Payton retired. There was some rumblings here that he really want to take another job with the who eventually ended up with the Browns, right? Like they said, if Dennis Allen would have been black, first of all, he would have never got another head coaching job because he was trash over there with the Raiders. No two ways about it. And I'm not gonna lie, they didn't just talk about him not being like, some coaches are good coordinators, but they're not good head coaches. They not only talked about him not being a good head coach, but they said he's not a real leader of men. And at the end of the day, they felt like, he was a cowardly individual. He really wasn't fit to be in a leadership position. They said this with the Raiders. Now you bring this dude over here with the Saints, and some of the same issues that he had with the Raiders, he had with the Saints. And he's somebody that's just a good coordinator. He's not built to be a head coach. And especially if he'd have been black, he wouldn't have got another opportunity. I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts on that one.
Facts. Facts.
100% agreed.
They Ann Bolton said they fired Minnesota Vikings GM after one bad decision at quarterback. One. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild, man. But fellas, man, we gonna stop talking about the coaches, and then we're gonna pivot on to pretty much what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But I still want to um keep talking about it. Uh, which player, and this is just your educated guess, which player from the draft you know a certain team's gonna pick up? For example, everybody will put money on it that the Raiders will pick up Fernando Mendoza. And then there's, you know, hold on, y'all. Yeah. So, like for example, the Jets. The Jets need a quarterback. So you never know. They might get Fernando Mendoza. So, which is some of the biggest team needs? That it doesn't have to be your team, but one of the biggest team needs that jump out at you. Coach, I'm going with you.
Well, I'm gonna pick my team. All right, the Saints. I'm not gonna lie. The Saints got a lot of older guys on the defensive side of the ball. Uh, they let Cam Jordan ride. Cam Jordan felt like he had 10 sacks this past season. I'ma just be honest with you. I'll probably say 7, 8 of them sacks. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So I wasn't mad for them not re-signing him. Like he wanted another bag. He passed his expiration date. I love everything he's done as a Saint. I love what he's done for the city. But, Father Time is undefeated. He hit the free agency market and nobody really had any real interest in it. And the only way I'll bring him back if I was the Saints is, he's like a specialty pass rusher. But other than that, him, Demario Davis, like it's time for them to. They done put in good work as Saints, but it's time for them to go. Truthfully speaking, the Saints has more holes than Swiss cheese, but they need to get much younger on the defensive side of the ball. They lost Alontae Taylor in free agency. They need to replace him. You need just a fresh, young defense. You need to rebuild your offensive line. Some people saying, hey, they need another wide receiver to kind of replace Rashid Shaheed and go opposite of Chris Olave. Other people saying, with the uncertainty with the situation with Alvin Kamara, some people feel like they need to get Jeremiah Love. With the pass rusher, we used to talk about for the national championship game for the Miami Hurricanes. What the kid name is? Yeah,
Dane
some
Lee.
people, if he falls to them, they get Ruben Band Jr. At the end of the day, the Saints got more holes than Swiss cheese. They could go in a multitude of different directions. I think they just need to take the best player available and the best player on their board. So, you know, that's my team. That's their biggest needs. They have a bunch of them. Uh, Many individuals feel like they have their future franchise quarterback. I'm not really sold on him yet, but time will tell.
Facts, man. And like for example, the Titans are in the same boat as the Ravens as far as offensive line wise. They need to rebolster that offensive line so they can protect Cam Ward, um, who could be their franchise quarterback, but you gotta give that young man some protection to see. So yeah, for example, the Titans are gonna go offensive line. Arizona Cardinals definitely gonna go quarterback. That's gonna be interesting. I want to see what type of quarterback they get. Um, because other than Fernando Mendoza, Let me see who else. If they get Ty, I'll tell you right now, if they get Ty Simpson and Carson Beck, or someone like they cooked. They are cooked. Uh, JB, what's your thoughts, man? What team needs jump out at you? As far as a certain franchise.
Like Coach said, I really don't give a damn about any other teams, just mine. So I know for a fact that be more, we need a guard. I think um, we're gonna be a very good defensive team this year. Now that we got an experienced defensive coordinator and the head coach is defensive minded, I think we need to work on bolstering that offensive line and then getting a wide receiver. I think we need to double up on offensive line in the draft,
I agree.
and then maybe a corner in the later rounds, like maybe a corner, just for depth. But yeah, but in the early rounds at the beginning, we need a guard. We need to go guard, receiver, and maybe edge. You know what I'm saying? But I think the reason why I don't want to go edge so early is I really think Mike Green is going to be decent for us. Um,
He gonna
and
be
then we
more
just
than
brought
decent, I think.
in,
But go ahead.
Hendrickson, and then we still got Tavius Robertson, who's been played pretty solid for us. So I think we're pretty decent on edge. We don't need to go too high on edge unless he's just there. You know, some reason a defensive player that we won't fall in the third or fourth round for some reason. But yeah, but the first two picks, first round and second round, need to go guard and then receiver, offense.
I'm gonna go further. I think we need to just go straight offensive line. First two. For people gonna get mad at me, I think we need to go guard and then center. First and second. That's just me. And then we whatever from the other the third rounds, uh the third round on down, we can get what you said, wide receiver, and you know what I mean? Because I believe people like Josh Cameron from Baylor still gonna be on the board. Um, come the third round, and
This is a deep receiver class. Yeah, I
it
agree.
is it really is. Jordan Cameron from Baylor, boy, that he built like a running back and he played like it, and he's 6'1". Um, he gets yak at the wazoo, man. He'll be a he is a Baltimore Raven in my opinion. Baltimore Ravens should get that
Okay.
offensive lineman from Miami. Uh, if he's not guard, then we're not gonna get him. Because Rosengarten is pretty solid. Even though he had a down year last year, but I think because who was lying next to him was throwing everything off. Because if your guards ain't
Yeah.
any good, then um, it's gonna mess everything up. Um,
Yeah.
if you're talking about Inez Cooper, uh, if he's there, but I think we're gonna get Vega, that boy from Penn State, or worst case scenario, that boy from Texas A&M, Chase Bistonis. Um, if we kick Keelan Routledge, uh, that's okay, but his injury history scares me. Skyler Bell, wide receiver, UConn, round two. He might be there, but I still think we second round. We still go offensive line. And Yolanda agrees with me. We just need to make sure our boy Lamar stands upright. And then a lot of people that Pinter signing was underrated because Pinter is solid. Not saying he's a Pro
A
Bowler
starter.
or he's a decent starter because when when Indianapolis Colts center got hurt, Penter came in and he did a great job keeping Daniel Jones up for the Colts.
My son
Salute J.
Rivers.
And speaking of Colts, I haven't seen J Bar in here. He said salute family in chat. Appreciate you coming by supporting Brent Fox in here. He said running and ripping and running today, brothers. But I'm still supporting, man. It's all good, man. You know it's all good. And I agree. My Steelers still need another wide receiver. Yes, y'all do. Um, I agree. Your boy Jay said Saints went O line back to back years, and it has worked out perfectly. It ain't the sexy pick, but it's a difference maker. Yeah, sometimes the sexy pick will mess you up. You need to get what you need. So I agree with that 100%. Your boy Jay.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, if you look at when they took, I mean, I think not the first, but the last real time to me they hit on the offensive line was when they drafted Ryan Ramczyk and Lattimore and Kamara in that 2017 draft. That's been a while. You know, Cesar Ruiz and a lot of these other guys like Trevor Penning. I'm not really sold on them. A lot of people figure since Spencer Rattler was the quarterback, and now that they went to Tyler Shuck, they felt like Rattler was more the issue, and that Shuck is more mobile. I don't think Shuck a better athlete than Rattler. That's just my personal opinion. But they feel like, to me, my whole thing was, you know, we talked about this on the show also. You know, for those individuals from our neck of the woods like Adrian Crook, like LSU used to have this thing when they would have a black quarterback and a white quarterback. Seemed like the players would play harder for the white quarterback over the black quarterback. I kind of feel the same thing happened with the Saints. To me, if you look at this past season, when they went on that run at the end of the season, the defense played much better when Tyler Shuck was in the game. The offensive line played much better. So to me, I think that's what it was. I don't think it's so much the fact that the offensive line is that great. I think they played harder when Shuck was in the game. People might say, "Oh man, coach, you reaching." I fervently and honestly believe that. I mean, I felt like if you look at like the first 5, 6 games the Saints played, hell, Spencer Rattler, when he played well enough, maybe for the exception of maybe like the Seahawks game, like those like first 5 or 6 games, he played well enough for them to win them games. But you know, the skilled players like Olavi Shahidi wasn't making enough plays. The offensive line was terrible, and the defense sucked. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was just me thinking that, but you know, a couple of my cousins, you know, we was all saying the same thing. So the fact that we all said the same thing let me know I wasn't tripping. You know?
Yeah, yeah. You've been talking about that since last season. So yeah, I hear you, man. And Bolton said, I want my Cowboys to get Ruben Bain, but I don't know if he will be there in the pick 12. At pick 12, you can get that at your head right now. Because, and you're right, you guys do need an edge. That boy from Boston College, he may develop, but you need a difference maker now. Because the Jets need a quarterback in the edge. So who knows? The Jets might get Ruben Bain. The Cardinals need an edge, even though they need the quarterback more than the edge, but you never know. Uh, Tennessee Titans are in the same position that, like I said, the Baltimore Ravens are in. Again, they're at pick number 4. So hold on. So let me back up. So Vegas is at pick 1, of course. Jets are pick 2. Pick 3 is Arizona Cardinals. So all 3 teams technically can get an edge. Except for um, the Vegas just needs quarterback and O line and wide receiver. But number 2, number 3, and number 4, which is are the Jets, Cardinals, and Titans, all technically need offensive line. So I say all to say this. I don't think I don't think Ruben Bain gonna make it, brother. But who knows? Who knows? Uh Your boy Jay said Jawan Johnson was dropping balls with Rattler and turning to Tony Gonzalez with Show or Shuck.
Yeah.
I found out
It
Him and
ain't.
Chuck went to college together. That's what.
It
So
wasn't just.
coach ain't crazy.
It wasn't just him. It was. It was multiple. Like I said, the offensive line played so much better with Shuck. The defense early in the season, the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like Rattler played well enough to beat the 49ers, to beat the Cardinals, so on and so forth. Right? Man, guess what? The defense was playing lights out at the end of the season. And to myself, man, this defense is not that good, but look how much harder they played. I mean, the only game they really got punished in was Shuck became the quarterback. Of course, the Rams. The Rams are the Rams. The Rams could have easily went to the Super Bowl. The Rams punished the Saints, but the Bears punished the Saints. But outside of that, not too many teams really manhandled them once Shuck became the starting quarterback.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my boy Hendo. We just talking about uh you in the beginning of the show. You and sister Yolanda. Y'all make sure y'all support this brother, man. Especially you Baltimore Ravens fan. He's one of the best content creators out there when it comes to talking about Baltimore Ravens. So make sure you subscribe, support him and Yolanda B be doing their thing. They collab and have great shows. So make sure you support a Roll Podcast. So make sure y'all support, man. But yeah, man, it's gonna be this draft, especially for my Baltimore Ravens, is gonna be interesting. Um, Now I wanna before we move on, I wanna go to something controversial because everybody's talking about it. Cleveland Browns are predicted to pick another quarterback, and this got the Shador Sanders fans heated because they feel they have their starting quarterback in Shador, but they got that boy from they're predicting that boy from Alabama, Ty Simpson, to be drafted, which I don't see it. You might as well keep Shador. Shador, is, in my opinion, is a better quarterback. Coach, I'm going to you first because I'm gonna say JB for last. Coach, what is your opinion on that?
Uh, I smell something funny in the water in Cleveland. Look, man, if you don't believe in this guy, if you don't think he's that guy, whatever the case may be, trade him to Arizona, trade him to Las Vegas, trade him to one of these teams that actually need a quarterback. Now,
New Orleans.
I'm I, hell, I'll take him in New Orleans, but truthfully speaking, I think going into the draft, we talked about the collusion, how these owners get together. I really think they legitimately colluded against this young man. But like I said, you got other teams that need quarterbacks. Yeah, trade him to one of them. I mean, I honestly think Mickey Loomis is legitimately sold on Tyler Shuck. I'm not whatsoever, but I think they are. So I don't think the Saints would be interested, even though if it was up to me. If it was solely my decision, I'd take him in New Orleans. But if you can't, because with the Fernando Mendoza, you know, after him, what other quarterbacks do you really have? So draft the quarterback you want and trade Shador to one of these teams that need a quarterback before they make their second round pick or whatever, and just keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, look, bro. I've always been this type of guy. I know this ain't really a relationship show, but if a chick won't leave you, like let her go. And in this particular instance, the Raiders really don't want him, especially the owner. I think the owner, the owner made it clear like he really didn't want this dude. So if you don't want him, send him to somebody that could use him and benefit from his talent, his abilities, so on and so forth. And like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the way his dad left Jackson State. But at the end of the day, you can't deny this young man was a Heisman Trophy candidate, and he is the best quarterback that the Cleveland Browns have. Now, if the owner was smart, he would put his petty differences aside. He wouldn't draft another quarterback, and he would give him the ball and tell this young man, hey, let's get it out the mud and let's roll. You know what I'm saying? But we talked about this on the previous episode also. These guys are rich and whatever the case may be. And in many instances, they can't put their personal petty differences aside for the greater good of the team. When you're a billionaire, you have that kind of money, somebody like him, he probably views the Cleveland Browns as his, It's his toy, something to just play with. Even though you got people lives at stake, people love, you got Cleveland Brown fans that actually want their team to be successful. This is a joke and this is a game. This is something to play with for you, whereas other people take this seriously. So if you don't see that type of value in him, let him move on. You know what I'm saying?
Facts, facts. And before I move on to JB, man, Duke winning right now. God knows, man. Come on, Connecticut. Big Reg, what's going on with your team, man? Ah,
Duke got a. I hate to say it, bro. It pains me to say it. Duke got a good squad this year, bro.
they always got a good squad. It's just it seems like this year they bench is deep is more
Yeah, they got
deeper.
a deep bench. They got a deep bench this year, man. But fuck Duke. Continue.
Hey, language. I agree, bro.
Oh,
I'm just playing, man. But your boy Jay said they only drafted Shador for attention. They never wanted that kid. They tried to say it was his personality, but somehow Baker Mayfield kept getting chances. That's what we've been saying. If you go back to past Southern Baller show, that's what we've been saying. Your boy Jay, you're 100% right. And Big Red said they've been struggling to start lately. Yeah, man. But y'all got the team to come back, man, because Hubert Davis led UNC Tar Heel team beat Duke. So if we can, y'all can. That's all I'm saying. Yes. But we gonna see, man. But before I go to JB, man, so Illinois is waiting. I got to talk about college basketball. So Illinois is waiting on Duke in Connecticut, and then was already set for next Saturday on April 4th is Michigan and Arizona. So it's gonna be interesting, real fast, Coach and JB. I'm sorry, y'all, but I have to talk about college basketball. Coach, who you got, Michigan or Arizona next week?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Arizona.
I got Arizona. Arizona look like a problem. Uh, JB, who you got?
Arizona.
Yeah, and then of course, like I said, Illinois is just waiting on the conclusion of UConn and Duke. So Illinois will face the winner. Which if Duke win, I don't see Illinois beating Duke. They got to make a believer out of me if Duke wins. Jada Six in this mug, man. What's going on? Corey Pete has been a man child for Arizona. Yes, he has. We were just talking about Jada Six, man, earlier. Y'all make sure y'all support Jada Six. Great content creator. But JB, going back to football. Okay, NFL. Um, what's your opinion on this rumors going on where a lot of people are picking the Browns to draft another quarterback? And they even predicting them to draft Ty Simpson, quarterback for the Crimson Tide. What's your opinion on that, JB?
Well, I listened to this one dude from the Browns fan because he's he has a good show, and we have a relatable background. Shout out to Garrett Bush, uh, and his show, and the barbershop talk. Um, he says that from the most part, the general manager and um, the new coach. See, we just had him as our offensive coordinator. I forgot his name. Um,
Todd Monken.
they Todd Monken is going to. They're going to give every chance to Shador for Shador to start. I think the Ty Simpson talk is from outside. The media is in. It's just from the Cleveland media and the Cleveland media that's not a Shador backing or backer. But for the most part, from what is being said inside the Cleveland facility and what's being shown by actions, that they're going to give Shador a shot to start. They may pick up Ty Simpson as far as um, competition. They may pick up a quarterback in the later rounds, but they're still looking at Shador Sanders to being their starter. Um, a lot of this Ty Simpson talk is just from people who want anybody but Shador.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that um, what Tom Monken is said, and some of the players have said, um, and what Garrett Bush is saying, that they're going to give Shador every opportunity to take on that starting position for Cleveland. Hope they do right by Shador, and we know that some of these football organizations say one thing and do another, but we'll see. You know, and Todd Monken to me uh, is a good offensive mind. Sometimes he do boneheaded things like not give Derrick Henry the ball, in the second half of that Patriots game.
All right.
But for the most part, he's a good offensive mind and way better than Stefanski, in my opinion. So we'll
Yeah.
see. I don't think Ty Simpson. See, it's funny that Ty Simpson is not the same prospect that Shador was when he was in college. It's not
Not.
even close.
No, it's
So
not.
for everybody to bitch and complaining about Shador and say they like Ty Simpson, they just exposing everybody's knowledge of football. The only thing you can give Ty Simpson is he can run a little bit. That's pretty much it. Pocket awareness. I've seen this kid when everything breaks down, um, he go to shit. Shador, I see him have comeback games with a trash offensive line. Here in the Southern Baller Show, we criticize brother Deion Sanders by not getting good offensive line and defensive line in Colorado, but yet and still, Shador still threw by what, like 4,000 yards.
Right.
And even with elite talent, that's still impressive when you don't have a good offensive line because he has good pocket presence. You know what I'm saying? People criticize Shador Sanders by going backwards. From what I've seen, he cleaned up some of that from his couple of starts in Cleveland last year. So we'll see, man. And it's
Okay.
not saying that Ty Simpson is not going to be a good
Pro.
backup or maybe a good pro one day, but I don't see it, bro.
He's not better than Shador. Point and period.
No,
Point blank period.
no.
Oh,
Uh.
and not only that, while we talking about it, what
Uh huh.
happened to that they drafted in the third round over Shador? What happened?
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah,
You knew what happened to him.
Shit.
He got he he don't he can't. First of all, um, he doesn't. A lot of people tried to say he was a better thrower of the ball than Shador. That was a lie from the pits of hell. Um, and the offense always stayed stagnant when he was the quarterback. But when
They said he
Shador,
was a better processor, whatever that means. He processes things on the field, but meaning he just a check down Charlie, basically.
yeah, Shador is a gunslinger, and that's why he got like what 8 interceptions. But he with coaching, he can clear that up. Um, that's the con of having a gunslinger like Shador Sanders because he think he can make every throw. But he pretty much in just to wrap things up, he's a better quarterback.
But this the thing
Yeah,
about.
I mean, go
But this
ahead.
the thing. They had like 5 quarterbacks to start the season.
Yeah.
So I know they traded one on the y'all. But what the hell up with all these other quarterbacks?
No, they traded. They traded. I think Joe Flacco to Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, yeah, Cincinnati.
and well, yeah, you're right because what your boy name is uh
Mike Tomlin
no Joe
put
Burrow.
their ass on. Yeah,
Joe Joe Burrow was hurt at the time.
yeah,
yeah, correct.
yeah. I know what you mean, JB. Mike Tomlin was pissed when the Browns did that,
I
but
mean, understandably, that fits the offense when you got two dudes like T. Higgins and Jamar. All Flacco could do. I mean, he's not the quarterback he was, and not when he was with the Ravens, like around 2012. But he can throw that bitch deep, and that's all you pretty much need in that Cincinnati offense. Somebody that can throw it deep.
one of those two can go get it. Yeah, you're right, and they did. Joe Flacco got earned his first Pro Bowl, which is crazy. But yeah, yeah, man. But let's we cooked on that. Let's pivot over to boxing, man. So, before I pivot over to boxing, uh, before I forget, the UFL season started Friday, and then two games happened yesterday. So if y'all still have a craving for football, it is still here. It may not be in the NFL, but some of these guys are from the NFL or formerly played, an NFL level. So you'll see teams like the Birmingham Stallions, Louisville Kings, DC Defenders, St. Louis Battlehawks, Houston Gamblers, the Dallas Renegades, and the Columbus Aviators and Orlando Storm. So
Oh,
Friday, go ahead, JB.
hey man, that was some good football. That was some very good football on Friday and Saturday. I was impressed. Last year I lost interest because quarterback play and some of the talent wasn't there. That looks like they did a good job this year, bringing in talent, younger players that that's fresh from college. You know what I'm saying? And like old boy from the Colts practice squad,
Jason Bean.
Jason Bean. He looked good last year. Even though they lost, he looks good. And I hope he developed for um, the Louisville Kings, and he's going to be on the NFL roster pretty soon if he keep
Coach,
playing.
guess who toting that rock? You know he was my favorite running backs in the SWAT. Guess who toting that rock for St. Louis Battlehawks?
Oh, you talking about old boy that played for JSU.
Mm-mm. He played for Alcorn.
Oh, you talking about Truck Simpson?
Mm-mm. Jarvion Howard.
Howard. Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh,
Yeah, man. He's I didn't see him get many carries. I don't know if he got hurt, but yeah, man. He's playing with St. Louis Battlehawks.
I'm
He's
not gonna
been
lie.
with them since last year.
I'm not gonna lie. That boy was a hog with Alcorn. I'm not even gonna lie on him.
Yeah, man. He was, man. Uh, but just to tell you the scores. Uh, Birmingham Stallions beat Louisville Kings 15-13. uh, one of the better games uh, this weekend was the DC Defenders versus St. Louis Battlehawks, which was the Battlehawks ended up winning 10-16. This was the only blowout so far this weekend. Houston Gamblers was beaten by the Dallas Renegades 36-17. And then tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we got the Columbus Aviators and the Orlando Storm playing their week 1 game. So it's going to be on ESPN, and somebody's putting up the highlights and then the full videos later on YouTube. So make sure y'all catch it out, man. But one thing I want to talk about before I move on with, how in the USFL back in the gap, man, and even in the XFL that Vince McMahon created, a lot of the NFL stole a lot of their, like, the instant replay or the challenging from those
Other leagues.
other leagues that has now tanked. So yesterday I found out a new league for the a new rule for the UFL is that once you pass the 50-yard line, you cannot punt. You either have to go for it or kick a field goal. Which I thought that was interesting, make it more challenging, and it puts a lot of the offensive coordinators on spot. Even the defensive coordinators as well, because they have to call make sure their defensive plays are all point, not to give up the third down or the fourth down after once they are beyond the 50. Coach, what you think of that? Do you think that's something the NFL is gonna steal later on, probably in years to come, or not?
It's a possibility, but as a middle school coach, that was our existence the whole time. The only component, there wasn't no field goal dynamic. Once you got on the plus side of the field, you're not punting the ball. Hell, if I'm a middle school coach, I'm on if I'm on the plus 45, the plus 30, the plus whatever, man, I'm not punting the damn ball. I'm going for it. And you got to realize, I already knew this in my mind. So I'm gonna run the ball on first down, probably first down, second down, and third down. You know what I'm saying? Now I know on fourth down, hey, I gotta get it. But guess what? Man, I'm not putting the ball on the plus side of the field, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. That ain't no real novel concept to me. I think if you're the average football person that watches football, yeah, that might be something, you really consider. Like even at, like, we're gonna say, for example, right? Southern games, right? Uh or just SWAC games in general. When the team get to like the 35, that's like the gray area. The reason being is because if you don't have a real good field goal kicker, you're not really in field goal range. But if you punt the ball, you're only going to gain like, 10, 15 yards of field position. So it's kind of like a catch-22. Whereas, like, when I was a head coach in middle school, hell, man, once I got the ball on the plus side of the field, I am not punting the ball. So at the end of the day, in fact, this is the thing about it. I mean, I had a couple coaching partners that didn't punt the ball at all. They don't give a damn where they was at on the field because they felt like, we always talk about that Brian Billick book where, if you lose the turnover battle by +2 or more, or if you throw a pick six or whatever, and in many instances, even if you winning, if you punt the ball and it's a muff punt, botch punt, or block punt on the middle school level, that gives the other team momentum. And even if you're winning, I've seen teams winning and they punt the ball, the other team block it or whatever. Instead, they just like, hey, I'm gonna go for it. If I don't get it, cool. They get the ball on the plus side of the field. I'm not tripping. But they refuse to punt the ball. So at the end of the day, that ain't really a novel concept for me, being that I have a lot of years as a middle school head coach.
Okay. So basically, that rule don't really impress you because y'all,
We operate,
coaches like you been doing that,
yeah,
implementing
we
that.
operate with that mindset already. Once you get the ball on the plus side of the field, we not punting the ball. And the thing about it is, like I said, there's no field goal component. Because for the exception of maybe like There's one school that was in one of the districts I coached in that was real good in soccer. I mean, you really don't have that field goal component. So really, outside of that school, that teams not kicking no field goals in middle school. Either.
I hear you, but I just think though something like this uh um uncovers how good a defensive coordinator, especially offensive coordinators, um how good are they in situations like if it's fourth down, or the third down calls, man, because I believe a lot of coaches are hitting by punting the ball
I'm,
a
I'm
lot.
truthfully
Yeah,
speaking, I'm not in disagreement with what you're saying. I kind of wholeheartedly agree with you, and that's the thing I'm trying to say. Like even is a head coach that was an offensive coordinator. I already knew once I got on the plus side of the field, I'm going for it. So I knew from a play calling standpoint, I already had that mindset. That was already my thought pattern. So I understand what you're saying. It probably would expose a lot of NFL coaches, but the point I'm trying to make is from a conceptual standpoint, yeah, I think it would be a novel concept or idea for individuals that really hadn't been exposed to it. But the point I'm trying to make is my whole existence as a middle school coach, that's what it was.
I hear you, man. The so-called, but I'm just saying it put a lot of so-called professionals that getting paid those pro checks to see if they really deserve it. So I love it. Um, but Big Red said Greg Ward Jr. was out there putting up numbers. Yeah, man, that's Tyler Texas finest right there. Yeah, Greg Ward was for the Dallas Renegade was tearing Houston secondary up, man. Yeah, man. I'm glad I thought he was a good little slot receiver for the Eagles as well. So yeah, I'm glad he's still balling, man. Brent Fox said a Dallas native. He said, "Yes, sir. Finally, a Dallas football team I can root for. A Dallas Renegade." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jada 6 said they employed Madden rules. Yeah, that's what Coach was saying. Yeah, if you play Madden or you just a high school or middle school coach, yeah, a lot of times you are going to go for it when you past the 50-yard line. So yeah, that's real. But JB, what's your thoughts on the new rule in the UFL?
I mean, that could be a new rule, but I doubt the NFL is going to do it because if you look at them financially, they're not. You got that means there's no use for punters. You know what I'm saying? And unless they do away with the punting position, then that defeats the purpose of punting, in my opinion. Once you get to, because that means every offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator is going to change their game plan after they get to the 50. You know what I'm saying? And then usually offensive coordinators, some teams and offensive coordinators, especially if they got a good defense like Baltimore, if uh, if they don't have a good offense per se or middle of the road offense, and they got a good defense, they're going to punt the ball, um, especially if they get past the 50. They may punt on the 45 or something like that, or the 48 or something like that, and try to uh, put you inside the five. You know what I'm saying? So their defense can operate. So with that being said, if they implement that rule, that kind of defeats the purpose of punting and pinning the teams back, especially if you got a good defense. But that and entertainment factor, that may be a good thing, good rule to have. But I don't see the NFL implementing that rule.
Okay, okay.
And like you said, somebody mentioned in the chat that we pretty much we've been doing that on Madden for like over 20 years at this point now, never going for it on fourth down. But I mean, just think about it. I know we not. I'm not just talking about high school coaches. I'm not just talking about middle school coaches. I'm talking about high school coaches. I've known high school coaches to never punt at no point at all. Like I've known like a handful of high school coaches. I don't care if it's 3rd and 50. They're going for it on 4th down. I mean 4th and 50. They're going for it on 4th down. They're not punting the ball. Every time they kick the ball off, they're gonna kick an onside kick. So I mean, certain coaches with coaching philosophies, they already, like I said, adopted those kind of rules and mindsets and thinking. So I think JB right. I don't think the NFL would have the testicular fortitude to do anything like that unless uh, it kind of kept players safer, like the new kickoff rule. You know, if it played in the player safety, I think they would do it. But just to change the game, nah, I don't think they would.
I don't walk that. Yeah, and I agree with you. When I'm watching Hendo and Big Red talk about the game. Big Red's trying to say the fix is on, and Hendo talk about some the fix is not on, and Big Red saying there's a lot of ghost files, and then Hendo was like, no, there's a lot of ghost missed shots. No, I'm sorry to say it, and I'm probably gonna need mouthwash after this. But Duke is just a damn. They always been good. Always had good squads in the past. Of course, it's Duke, but this team, specifically this year, is very deep. Meaning that Boozing can sit down and they ain't gonna miss a beat. So Connecticut just getting punched in their mouth. They Duke beating them 40-22. And this is a good UConn team.
Damn.
Yep.
The hell going on? They must be cheating. Then.
I know, Jada 6. I'm right after the show. I ain't no bullshit. I am going to hit the mouthwash up, man. I'm sorry. My fellow Tar Heel brother. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah, they good, man. I'm surprised we beat them. I was surprised that we beat them, but no, but that dude Caleb Wilson is a dog, bro.
I'm not surprised he had the talent this year to beat anybody. It's just coaching.
Yeah,
That's why Hubert Davis is no longer the coach.
yeah,
Especially if
man.
you're a black coach and then you come out and awkwardly say, I like my white wife, what I'm saying? I love my and that's fine, but that was an awkward thing to say, you know what I'm saying? You know.
uh, yeah, man. You were bold in saying that, but you wasn't bold in your play calling, man. Get out of here. But anyway, let's move on. So boxing happened yesterday, man. So let's go ahead and talk about the card before the Keith Thurman and
Tywin Inferno, Sebastian Fundora.
Sebastian Vendora fight. Yeah, I was blanking on his name. But unfortunately, I have to talk about, and I was rooting. I'm American, so of course I was going to root for the American Jermaine Franklin. The heavyweight matchup, Moses Atama versus Jermaine Franklin. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
he
gonna
did
show
him
you what
bad.
happened. I'm gonna show y'all what happened because I got the visual. Bear with me one moment, y'all. I'm not gonna share the audio. I just want to share the. This was homie ran right into the uppercut. Watch.
And fair use, YouTube.
Fair use, YouTube. Thank you. All right, so y'all saw my homeboy Jermaine Franklin ran right into the uppercut of Moses Atama. And to be honest with you, this was a bad matchup for Jermaine Franklin. Jermaine Franklin is not the fastest, but he's tough. Can take have a very good chin. You seen that in the Anthony Joshua fight, but homie uh ran into a wicked uppercut, which Moses Atama was setting it up. All in the first few rounds, and he finally got him. And then before we talk about before I present the question, of course, the undercard had Nathan Heaney and Jerome Warburton, and then Ezra Taylor versus Willie Hutchinson, which Willie Hutchinson ended up outpointing Ezra Taylor. But two questions, two-part questions, fellas. Is Moses Atama the real deal? I know he's a young up and coming heavyweight from England, but is he the real deal, or Jermaine Franklin he was supposed to do that to Jermaine Franklin? And then in the next part of that the question is, does Jermaine Franklin need to retire, or is he just a gatekeeper? Coach, I'm going to you.
For your first question, I think it's a combination of the two. I'm not gonna lie to Kid Moses. I think he probably one of the top 5 heavyweights in the world right now. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he a problem in terms of the younger heavyweights. If I'm one of the older guard heavyweights, is you really don't have nothing to gain by fighting him, because he's not the star that you would want to fight yet. And on the flip side of it, like, you really don't gain nothing, by fighting him. So it'll kind of be like, for example, Errol Spence trying to fight Jerron Bruce Ennis. Like, somebody like Crawford, yeah, you can see that. But fight Jerron Ennis, it's like, what do you really have to gain by fighting him, except for proving that you're the better fighter? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I don't see any of the older guard heavyweights like Anthony Joshua lining up to fight. And Jermaine Franklin, I'm not gonna lie, I think he a durable journeyman type of guy, but he was overmatched, and really that was kind of the purpose he was kind of built to serve. It's kind of like the other fight we're gonna talk about,
Right. JB, same question.
It was a good win for Moses, man. I ain't gonna lie. Jermaine Franklin been in there with some good heavyweights, or what people consider to be good heavyweights, I should say. He gave Anthony Joshua tough fight, made him look bad actually, and made Dylan White look bad. A lot of people say he could have won those 2 fights. He has pretty good head movement as a heavyweight, as far as somebody with average speed, good to average speed. Jermaine Franklin is kind of awkward for those your standard heavyweight, but he was, like Coach said, he was in there with a younger fighter that had quick hands as a heavyweight and power. So his head movement was being timed, and I think Jermaine didn't anticipate of this young boy Moses' hands being that quick, and he was strong. So him being durable didn't really help. Didn't really mean anything. It just made a longer ass whooping. And
Right.
and and the fact that he couldn't hurt him. Jermaine Franklin doesn't really have. He has average power for heavyweight. He's more like on the um, Big Baby Miller style, where he can get you out of there with accumulation, but he's not didn't have one knockout power.
One punch knockout
And
power. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, if you don't have um, and this kid got a good chin now. I mean, he fought Dylan White. He took Dylan White out there with 1 round, and Dylan White has okay power. Even though, in my opinion, Dylan White is a cheater. But anyway, yeah. So that was a good win for Moses. Now, if I was his promoter, this is a good way to a trajectory. You need to have a young heavyweight like this. Start out with the old, as coach say, journeyman, and then make your way up to a champion.
Yeah,
So
the
they're
good, the
moving
good
Moses
tested
to
journeyman, because Jermaine
yes,
Franklin is a
his
good tested journeyman. Yeah,
good tested journeyman. He gave the top heavyweights a lot of issues. So this is a good win for Moses. To knock out somebody who hasn't been knocked out before is a good win.
it is. It is. Oh, okay, okay. And then moving on to the Sebastian and Fedora versus Keith Thurman card. Uh, and I'm trying to get that. I did have the information up, but it was it's escaping me. So give me one moment. I'm sorry, y'all. All right. So yeah. So the card. This was a good card. This was a good card. So it started with uh Capo Galagos versus Julian Gonzalez. And Galagos won by unanimous decision. Brian Gonzalez versus Brandon Medina. Gonzalez defeats Medina by TKO in round 5. Uh, Elijah Garcia versus Kevin Newman II, which Roy Jones Jr. was in Kevin Newman's corner. But Newman ended up defeating Garcia by mid decision. Very close fight. Heavyweight Gergen, and then if I mispronounce this, Gergen Havanasian versus Cesar Navarro in heavyweight division. TKO's Navarro in round 5. And then Yonali Hernandez versus Terrell Joshua. Hernandez defeats Joshua by TKO in round 4. Now, this was a controversial fight because a lot of people believe that the fight was stopped prematurely, and I agree. Yeah, Terrell Joshua have a bad habit of not letting his hands go. Even like when he fought, I think didn't he fight Ryan Garcia? Terrell Joshua.
I don't know. I don't think he fought Ryan Garcia.
I'm tripping. Okay, so yeah, it was somebody he fought, where he was beating them, and then
He
he
got he the fighter that be getting robbed.
yeah, and he doesn't let his hands go,
Yeah,
and he makes
he's
the fight
more of
closer
a
than it should be. It was
right. So
Tim
he'll
Zoo. I'm
he'll
sorry,
lose.
it was Tim
Yes,
Zoo.
yes. So he'll lose to an elite fighter, But if you have a upper coming fighter or a fighter that's in middle of the road, he's gonna make them look bad. He's a Jermaine Franklin type of fighter where if you're not elite, then you're gonna struggle with a Terrell Gusha. Um, I looked at the stoppage. That was a terrible stoppage, in my opinion. Um, yeah, that was a terrible stoppage.
Coach, did you get a chance to see the fight?
Nah, I just saw the two main events on each card.
Okay.
Oh no, and I take that back. I saw the kid that knocked out Sebastian Fundora. I saw
Yeah,
him
that's the
lose
fight
the
I'm
fight.
talking about next. Tillis versus Brian Mendoza. That was a good fight, man.
Yeah, that was a good fight. I thought they was gonna stop it once he headbutted him in the nose, but he fought through it and he ended up winning. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah, so yeah, Jonas Tillis versus Brian Mendoza. Brian Mendoza is if those who don't know, is the fighter that knocked out Sebastian Findor, um, who was in the main card, which you're going to talk about next. But he lost to Jonas Tillis by uh, unanimous decision. It was 10 grueling rounds, man. It was a good fight. Brian Mendoza showed his warrior spirit, even though he headbutted Tillis in the nose. But Tillis um, showed how much of a dog he was by just soldiering through it, and he got the victory. Now, the fight that everyone's talking about: Sebastian Findor versus Keith Thurman. So those who don't know, Sebastian Findor TKO'd Keith Thurman uh, in round 6. Uh, and I felt like it was a good stoppage because Findor was battering Keith Thurman, and I ain't never seen Keith Thurman beat up like this. Uh, it was bad. It was bad, and I felt like Keith Thurman was fighting the wrong fight. I felt like Keith Thurman, if he would have stayed on the inside, even though it still would have been dangerous in the inside, because a kid like 6'6", 6'7", um, or 6'5", and has like a 6'7" wingspan.
Nah, that dude 6'7".
Yeah, 6'7". Uh, it would still have been dangerous, but if you stayed on the inside, he can't sit on the punches like he want to, even though it's still dangerous in there. That's how Brian Mendoza knocked Sebastian Vendora out. He stayed on the inside, made the fight ugly, and then he caught Sebastian Vendora with a wicked hook on the inside. Caught Sebastian Vendora being lazy and ducking down, and walked him right into a hook. Keith Thurman was trying to do the same thing, but he was trying to go in and out, stay on the outside, which was, as you'll see, was the wrong fight to do, strategy to do. But um, Keith Thurman disagreed with the stoppage, and I'm about to play it for you, and I want to get y'all brothers' thoughts. Fair use, YouTube. Let me know if y'all can hear it.
I just got done watching the Keith Thurman and Sebastian Fedora fight.
Oops.
Um,
Hold on, y'all. That's just somebody else's. Let me get another video. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, man, but it was Keith Thurman disagreed, but I understand he a warrior and all that, but I think the
He's
referee was right for stopping the fight.
yeah, he's
Man,
about to be put to sleep.
Yeah, I was finna say, let me cut through the chase. Sebastian Fundora was tagging Keith big time. And let me just be blunt about it. Sebastian Fundora was severely whooping Keith Thurman's ass. No two ways about it.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, that
Yes,
stoppage,
Jada 6.
that stoppage was a good stoppage because I'm gonna be honest with you. We talked about this with the Moses and Franklin fight. The same thing is true when it comes to Sebastian Fundora and Keith Thurman. First of all, the general talked about this a lot, but Keith Thurman is only fought with like what twice in like 6 years.
Hmm.
So even though at one point one time Thurman was a man in the welterweight division, Keith Thurman has been extremely inactive over like the last several years.
Yes,
So
thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, he's been very inactive.
he's been very inactive. And then I'm not gonna lie, one thing 7-8 pointed out too is the fact that a lot of these guys, I used to notice this trend with rappers. When rappers were hungry and they were like 17, 18, 19, and they were really trying to get on, like they were real hungry, they were starving. But once they got to a certain point, they got complacent and they really didn't have the same type of drive that got them to the point where they are. They got like lazy and they got complacent. And the same thing with Keith Thurman. All of these things about when he was, trying to get a fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and this, that, and the third. He the big bad wolf, and he gonna huff and puff and blow everybody house down and become the undisputed welterweight champion. And he ain't worried about no A side, B side. He want all the smoke. He want to fight everybody. But once he became a unified welterweight champion, everything he said that he wouldn't be, he became all of those things once he got a taste of the success. You know what I'm saying? And then it got to the point where, some people say he was legitimately injured in all these instances. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I felt like Keith Thurman was having like a lot of phantom injuries, you know. So at the end of the day, I felt like he got lazy and complacent. And then even the one loss he had, I felt like he sold that L to Manny Pacquiao because, as far as I'm concerned, Manny Pacquiao was on the juice, and
Yeah.
Keith sold him that belt. And then after that, really leading up to that, and since then, all Keith Thurman has kind of been looking for is big money fights, big money fights, big money fights. Sebastian Fundora is, first of all, he's 6'7". He's much younger than Keith Thurman, and I think the thing that he's very beatable. But I think the thing that makes Sebastian Fundora dangerous for anybody in a junior middleweight division is he's really coming into his own from the standpoint of really using his height and his reach
Yeah.
and opposing opponents at the end of his punches and at the end of his jab. I think if he really sticks with that, I think he a problem for Virgil Ortiz, for Jerron Boots Ennis, and anybody in the junior welterweight. I mean the junior middleweight division. I mean, every super welterweight is gonna have problems if he, like I said, he's beatable. But if he continues to keep guys at the end of his punches and he uses his height and his reach to his full advantage, he gonna be a problem. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he's very beatable. I call him the and shout out to Cadillac Red. Me and him was talking about this last night. I call him the Klitschko of the middleweight division. And the reason why I say that because everyone know the Klitschko's, um, especially the younger one, did not
Uh,
have a chin.
Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, Vladimir Klitschko did not have a chin, but they were blessed with long reach and they were tall and they had a very good jab thanks to Emmanuel Lewis.
And they both
So
over,
Yeah.
not so much Vitaly, but I felt like Vladimir was overhyping me myself.
Right. So if you couldn't get past their jabs and you didn't have respectable punching power, they were gonna beat the shit out you. You're right.
yes,
Same thing with that. That was a great comparison. And
that's yeah,
with Fedor, he has a great jab, and he's an okay inside fighter. You know what I'm saying? He be catching
No,
people coming in,
I ain't gonna lie,
huh?
JB. I think he
Yeah.
better than an okay inside fighter. I think he probably a B minus inside fighter, but I
Right.
think he at his best when he keeping fighters on the end of his jab. If anything, by him being an infighter. I'm not gonna lie, shout out to Nick J and Boxiani. They used to talk about this all the time. You got to realize, I don't know if he had LASIK or not. I think he did, but him and his sister, his sister is a undisputed champion.
Yep.
Both of them, at one point I saw, both on boxes, but at one point I saw both of them had some real thick ass glasses, and I'm like, damn. So they used to say this on the Queens of the Ring all the time. They felt like it wasn't the fact that he wanted to be an inside fighter, it's the fact that he had vision issues and he really could feel and see his opponents up close, and that's why he was such an infighter. But he did have LASIK, since that loss or whatever, and he's become a better outboxer. So I think
Okay.
the vision problems he was having over the years, I think was the reason why he was more of an infighter. But I'm not gonna lie, I felt like he was a good infighter because if you notice most of his fights, he really did a lot of damage on the inside. But I think since he's had LASIK, he's more of an outboxer now.
Yeah.
I think to beat him, you have to do what Mendoza did, and not just what Mendoza did. You have to really be good on the inside, and you have to literally walk him into something. I mean, Tim Tszyu kind of did that in their last fight, even though that fight was starting their second fight together. Tim Tszyu was walking him into stuff and hurt him a couple of times. Um, I think this is gonna sound, but I still think Errol Spence can beat him. Errol Spence is a great inside fighter.
I
I
don't
don't.
want Errol
I
Spence to fight
wouldn't
him, man. I really don't,
listen.
man.
I don't want Errol Spence to fight him now. I think that's not a good fight for Errol Spence right now.
I
So
agree.
Errol Spence, maybe a couple of fighters later, I think Errol Spence can get him. And even though I don't like them, I think the older which one is the better Charlo brother?
I think
The other Charlo brother is a good inside fighter, and he's a good counter puncher.
I
This dude
think
is susceptible to counter punches. Go
I
ahead.
think I think Mel better than Maul, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
But not only that,
So
I don't mean to cut you
mhm.
off, JB, but one thing I will point out too, a lot of people saying Keith Thurman had a terrible strategy. I think the only reason why it was bad because Fundora did a good job cutting the ring off. He followed him a lot, shit, but he still was able to kind of walk Keith Thurman into stuff because to a certain degree, he did cut the ring off a little
Yeah, it
bit.
was bad all the way around
But
because
but
go ahead.
but even with that being said, there were instances where he tried to do the what Tim Tszyu did and use that Roy Jones. I'm gonna use this lunging uh check left hook jump in with a straight right hand. But this boy is so tall, you can't use that Roy Jones strategy, Roy Jones Jr. strategy against him.
Right, but
He's so damn
you're
tall.
right. You're
And,
right.
and,
But
and
here's the thing, and I don't mean to cut you off. The thing about Tim Tszyu is naturally strong where even if he's jumping, leaping with a hook, he's strong enough to still hurt you. Same thing with Roy Jones. He was naturally gifted. People like Brian Mendoza, he's heavy-handed, but he's a Hispanic fighter, so they like to sit on their punches and throw their hooks. So that's why Brian Mendoza, I ain't doing that leaping shit. I'ma stand inside and catch this tall joker with a punch, and he took punishment. Now he took punishment because, like you said, uh, Sebastian Vendor has improved, and he's even better since that fight with his inside fighting. But that's a risk you're gonna have to take to beat him.
yeah, I mean, but that's my thing though. People saying, "Oh man, Keith should have just been trying to get on the inside." Man, I'm not gonna lie. Even when Keith was trying to get on the inside, that boy was whooping on Keith's ass. Ain't no two ways about it. So I think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I don't think Keith would have been able. And you got to realize, Keith. I don't care what nobody say. He's in the twilight of his career. I think him and Jermaine Franklin at the same point. I think either you get a big money fight against if you keep them against maybe like one of them Charlo brothers or somebody like that. Other than that, I think Keith need to move the hell on because you
Yeah.
don't fighting on these young boys and get whooped on and because I'm not gonna lie, I never saw nobody punish Keith Thurman like that. I mean,
Same thing,
Yeah.
got money.
coach. Same thing happened with Boo Boo Andrade. Like I ain't never when he I ain't never seen Boo Boo Andrade get beat up like he did against Benavidez, man.
Benavidez.
And the same thing happened to him. He waited out. He didn't. He was very inactive. And then the freaking first fight that you pick is an unbecoming monster and Benavidez. And then the same thing with Keith. The first fight that your first comeback fight that you pick is an up and coming monster in the middleweight division. So
Yeah,
I
and,
don't really feel sorry for him, man.
and
Not
just like
not it's not like they're looking for it, but still, I mean, like the decision making. Go ahead, coach.
you and JP was saying, man, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even really want to see uh Earl Spence Jr. right now fight even a Tim Zoo, even though Tim Zoo got beat up by Fundora. Man, I'm not gonna lie. I think he don't believe. I know he don't believe in 2-up fights. Man, EJ need about 4 of them joints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm telling you,
He need
man.
4 up fights before he even really consider start jumping in there with live dogs. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, look, bro. I mean, it's commendable that you want to fight top level competition, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sketchy. I definitely want to see EJ jump in there with Sebastian Fundora. And I'm not gonna lie. To me, I kind of feel like if he fought EJ, it'd be like the equivalent to fighting Keith Thurman. An older guy that done been at the top of the mountain, and you just looking to put another big name on your resume.
Facts, man. But after all we saying this, and I'm sorry, y'all. I said we're gonna play the video, which I am right now. But after all that we just said, Keith Thurman disagrees with the referee stoppage. Let's hear what he got to say. Let me know if y'all can hear it.
The former unified champ, Mr. Keith one-time Thurman. And I will turn it over to Keith. And Keith, if you just wanted to open it up, obviously, certainly not the result you wanted. Just thoughts on the fight and what happened.
Well, first off, man, it was just a great fight. Thank God, man. It's beautiful boxing, big stage. It felt good to be on that stage once again. Fundora's a tremendous champion. But whoever the fuck that referee was, don't hire him for fucking main event shit ever again, man. Real talk. Do you remember Eric Morales versus Marcos Maidana? Do you remember how many times people fought with broken orbital bones? It's just not even broken, man. Never got dropped in the whole fight. I'm getting caught on the back end of punches. The referee told me in the locker room, show me something. Move your feet, duck your head. I won't stop the fight. I'm using my legs. I'm getting caught on the back end. I wasn't buckled. He just jumped in like a white rabbit, man. So them little hoppy referees, they're not made for main event boxing. The fight was getting fun. The people were standing on their feet. We was just getting into the grind, and he was getting really comfortable swinging wide, swinging big, swinging wide. Because he's young, because he trains hard, he put that press, because he's a volume puncher. He put that press, and the referee reacted to that, So Fundora's preparation, his fight style, it all ended up planning out for him. But as an OG, man, 4 more minutes, it would have been a lot of fun. I promise you. 4 more minutes, and he could have made a mistake right in front of me, man. I was waiting for it. I knew it was going to be one of these kind of tough fights against a young champion, and I had that long-term vision, but the ref didn't let me get there, man. So it was unfortunate, but I'm grateful. I'm okay. I'm able to talk to you guys. I don't need to be in the hospital. Everything is what it is. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, ICI, and just, I'll be back, man. I want to do great things in boxing once again, and I'm going to come back hard. I'm going to come back strong.
Nigga,
All right.
face, nigga. Man, that
Right.
boy
Yeah.
whooping on your ass. All of that zombie, that ain't real, bro.
He said, like Smoking Craig off of Friday would say, damn. But we can't be, let's keep it real. Our boy Deontay Wilder, he said in some of his law, he said, especially the Mark Breland stuff, he said, man, let me go out on my shield. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
believe that's what that's what he is saying. You know what I mean? But
man. Jared, that sound all well and good. Keith is he's in the twilight of his career. He towards the end. Honestly, personally, I think unless you going on a bum bash, I think he really need to hang it up. But man, this young boy was whooping on your ass. That sound well and good, but man, come on, bro. I feel like it was a good stoppage, and if anything, that referee was saving him from himself.
JB, what you think, man?
I think that sound good. You say that now that the fight is stopped, that shit wasn't going according to plan for what I saw. You was getting hit with everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's boxing. Maybe he would have caught Fendor with something, but I I don't know, man.
You
I
didn't.
don't
We
know.
didn't see it. Yeah.
I'm not. I
Uh,
didn't see it. Deontay is different because Deontay can still hit you with one punch. He's a uh,
That one hit a
one
quitter. That
knockout puncher. So referees is going to uh give Deontay the benefit of the doubt, and it's heavyweight boxing too. But one time ain't been one time in about 10 years, homie.
yeah, it's been a
I ain't
long
seen him
time.
right. I ain't seen Keith Thurman knock out nobody in one punch in a while. So nah, bro,
I agree
that
with you,
sound
fellas, man.
good. And he
And
said what he was supposed to say. In my opinion, after you get his ass, well, I was just about to get in his ass, like Pinky said on next Friday when Greg
yeah,
he said, "You
right.
lucky. I was just about to get in your ass." That's what Keith Thurman did. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it is what it is, man. To me, it was a good stoppage.
It was, man. That's just a warrior and Keith Thurman. But no, bro. You look at your face, homie. So shout out to Keith Thurman. You were a great champion, man. You was, just hang it up, man. Should have been more active. Maybe it would have been different.
Negro, you should have fought Earl Spence when you was the champion. Well, Earl Spence was the up and coming fighter. Now you old. Now these young boys whooping on your ass. So I kind of don't feel sorry for him like that. To be honest with you. And then he should have got his ass whooped for having a part in his head and he going bald. So
He's stupid, man. Well, yeah, that's crazy. But anyway, one more thing, we gonna wrap it up, fellas. So Iggy, man, he lost again. Iggy, and we're going to MMA. Israel Adesanya, man, he lost to Joe Pfeiffer, who is a up and coming, um, fighter, man, and he was a former kickboxer, just like Alex Pereira and Israel. Um, but it was a middleweight fight. But what's wrong with Iggy, man? Like he hasn't won a fight since the KO victory in 2023. Like he's been
bro, he getting up
TKO,
there, bro.
but
He
still,
getting
man,
up
it's
there,
like
man.
he's 36, bro.
Let me tell you something about MMA. What I noticed. You know how we all worried about Deontay and his punch resistance because he up there and older. He up there in age, and as you get older, you know what I'm saying. You can kind of tell when fighters aren't the same as they was in their prime. That's double time in MMA, where because they take so many punches
And
and not
kicks,
just punches but kicks, elbows,
submissions.
submissions. You know what I'm saying? I hear that their training is grueling. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling. You know what I'm saying? When you fall off, you fall off. And there's a couple of people who stay relevant. You know what I'm saying? DC did it for a couple of years. Um, y'all see what happened to Uzman? Uzman was whooping people ass, and then all of a sudden he just start losing. You know what I'm saying? Because he getting older. Same thing with my boy Tyron Woodley. And, he lost a lot. I think he was on like 4 or 5 losing streak, man. But people forget how dominant he was when he was in his prime. You know what I'm saying? So when you're a champion and then and I don't want to use the word wash up, when you not in your prime anymore, in MMA you go down fast, homie, fast. So maybe it's that time where uh, Israel is more of a journeyman now. He's gonna fight the not the elite challenger, but
Up and
the
coming.
people up and coming that people think is gonna be good. I don't think he's going. He's not gonna be able to win the elite fights anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because too many the
But here's the
battles he had
thing.
with Alex Pereira. You know what
But
I'm
he
saying?
was and Shannon Sharp should be ashamed of himself. He was acting like Iggy was getting his ass whooped the whole fight. No, he wasn't. He was actually on when they was on their feet. He was piecing up Piper. But the thing is, when Piper started taking him down, that's when the fight turned. So Shannon Sharp was incorrect saying he was getting his ass whooped the whole fight. That's not correct. That's
And
not
then
correct.
that's been known how you beat Izzy to take him down and batter him. So that ain't nothing new. So we
Right.
know who just got in the MMA, who just been watching MMA. That they've been saying that's how you beat Israel for a while. But the thing is, Israel in his prime used to knock people out on his feet by the time or catch them or something when they try to take him down. Um, like I said, maybe it's his time, man. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? It's his time that he probably looked to, fight a journeyman. Not become a journeyman, but kind of like hell. What's your boy? Conor
Derek Lewis.
McGregor.
Oh,
Yeah, not Derek Lewis is another one, but Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor used to be a big name, and him and Israel are still going to sell because he a big name. But I don't think they're going to beat. They're not going to beat the elite top 5 or top 10 hell, top 15
in a weight class.
because it's a different. It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, man, Coach. I know you don't like. I know you watch MMA or UFC, but it's not like that. But what's your thoughts if you have them on this topic on
No,
Israel?
no comment whatsoever.
I hear you, man. But yeah, man. This we just want to go come on here and talk about the topics that we have for y'all, man. I appreciate everyone who came in just to see what we're talking about. Even if you came in to be nosy, man, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Appreciate all y'all that came by, man. Really, really do appreciate it. Um, Coach, let everybody know where they can meet you and see you.
You can catch me at Code 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, but I'm primarily here on YouTube. Tomorrow, I'm gonna have another episode of Jaguar Talk with Code 67, and I'll probably say at some point midweek, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, whatever. I'm gonna debut a new boxing show on my YouTube channel, so come through and check me out. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Blessed and phenomenal work week. Uh, Salute to the awesome and amazing LDBC. And y'all have a blessed and phenomenal evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And shout out to Old Hillside Bourbon Company, man. Y'all make sure y'all get you a bottle of bourbon. This is black owned company. My boy, uh, Big Joseph Townsend is helping these brothers promote it. He's part of the company, so y'all make sure if you drink Make sure you get you a bottle. If you don't drinking, you got a family member that loves a bottle of bourbon around the house. You make sure you go to this website right here and get you a bottle of bourbon, man. This is good stuff. I got me a bottle. My dad loves it. I love it, and I don't even drink like that. But make sure y'all support this. Is black owned. But JB, appreciate you for taking time out your day, man, to come on and talk this stuff with us, man. The sports, man. Any lasting words?
No, man. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great work week, like Coach said. And I'll see you when I see you, man.
All right, this was another installment of the Southern Baller Show, man. Y'all be blessed. Thank y'all.